Hello everyone and welcome to another video on Tutorials Point with me, Richa. Today under the corporate management module, we will talk about decision making. Well, decision making is a very important point under corporate management because all corporates need major decisions in order to get their work done. So let's take a look at the agenda for this. We will talk about what exactly is the decision making process, levels of management and the decisions that those management people take, primary and secondary data, as well as optimum utilization of data for the best of the solution for the corporate management. Well friends, decision making is having an acronym known as IDEAS. Now I, D, E, A and S stands for a particular thing. For example, that is I stands for identify the problem, D stands for develop an alternative solution, E stands for evaluate and choose the best from those different alternatives, A stands for action, that is action the solution, and S solves, which means solve, which means to take feedback for that particular option or alternative that you have finalized. Now let's take a look at all of these in detail. So friends, identify the problem. Well, for any corporate management company, if you need to know what is really brewing inside the people, you need to first identify the major problem which people have or which different resources in your team have. So identifying the problem is very, very critical because if you do not identify the problem, you will be living in a fairy's land and you will be just going about doing things the way it has to be done rather than taking a look at what exactly is the problem. So identifying the problem is very critical. The way you identify the problem, the impact of the solution will develop accordingly. So you need to be very, very precise about what is the way that you approach the problem. Develop alternative solutions. Well, any particular problem will have different solutions that you can take to make sure that you give a solution to that problem. So certain problems may call for two-way process or there may be different ways or approaches you can approach them. For example, fix it means you need to immediately fix the problem in a temporary way, which means that you are overlooking anything else and you are just trying to focus on giving a quick relief to that particular problem which has come up. And secondly, solve it. Well, solve it means a systematic way of trying to prevent recurrence of the issue. So what you're really doing in the second option, which is solve it, you're trying to get into the root of the problem, trying to eradicate the root of the problem so as to give a solution to that particular problem. So these are the two approaches, fix it and solve it. The next step is evaluate and choose. Now you may have different alternatives which have come up for that particular problem that you want to fix up. So you need to identify and also evaluate parameters for acceptable solutions, gather and analyze the data, identify the options as well as what is the pros and cons or what are the strengths and weaknesses of those particular options. There may be certain pitfalls to identifying that particular evaluation of the solution. Jump to the first solution. A lot of times we get so bogged down whenever we are faced with a particular problem that we immediately jump to the first solution which comes to our mind, which is actually not how it is supposed to be. You should never ever jump to the first solution which comes to your mind. Not enough alternatives developed, so you don't really rack your brain or you don't really think creatively to solve your problem, so not many alternatives are developed. Not enough data, or rather too much of data but not enough information. That is again one of the reason or a pitfall for not having many options, or rather not having too many alternatives or not having too many data. Now let's look at, once you have identified different alternatives, you need to take out the best solution for that particular problem which has come up. So what is the best from one point of view may not be from another point of view. Friends, today it's all about perceptions, how you perceive a particular thing from one point to the other point of view. Define the parameters for best options that could come up. What are the outcomes? What is the time frame or what is the kind of time limit you need to solve that particular problem? What is the cost benefit? Because if you go on to solving the solution to that particular problem, you might incur a lot of cost on the way. And lastly, generate acceptance from the stakeholders. Whoever is the stakeholder in your particular company or corporate management place, you need to get their go-ahead to give a solution to that particular problem. Now you need to action the solution. There is no point in just getting all the solutions together if you do not take a plan of action. So how do you action the solution? You do an implementation plan, which is assign responsibilities as well as timelines. You need to assign teams. You need to also select your team leaders and team coordination. All of these things together will help you to action the particular plan. You need to have people, your resources, your team members, your leaders, and making sure everyone is given a responsibility to solve the problem. And together as a team, they do the work properly. Monitor the implementation as well as sell the solution to your stakeholders. Once you are doing your particular action of plan, you need to make sure that you're monitoring it at every interval wherever it's required. So that's the action, the solution part. So now we are going to look at solve and take the feedback. So once you have solved the particular solution to the problem, you need to make sure that you take feedback from the people. So solve the problem, identifying the different options, you solve the problem. Check whether there has been total solution to that particular problem or it has been only temporarily fixed up. So you need to ensure that the problem has been solved completely and from the root of it. Any supplementary problems developed as a result of this solution, so you need to also identify while you were solving this particular problem in your organization, were there any other developmental things which have come up, and after identifying that only you have to take the feedback of the people. Now there are different types of levels of management as well as the decision that those levels of management take. For example, top management who are really sitting at the very top of the particular corporate, like the decision makers and stakeholders and founders and MDs and partners of the company, they are sitting at the top. And for those people, what they do is they do strategic planning of how to solve a particular problem. These people only rely on strategies in order to solve the particular problem. The middle management, which comprises of the managerial level as well as the leaders, those people look at tactics, or rather the plan of action for these particular strategies. And the frontliners, who are the base of your organization, at the foundation level of your organization, they are the people who are facing the customers and they are dealing with the customers day in and day out. And these are the people who look at problem solving from an operational point of view, because it affects the day-to-day activities of those people in the organization. Types of data, well, let's look at that. Primary data and secondary data. What it really means is, what is the source where you're getting these different solutions to the problems? So primary data is collected directly by the researcher from the first hand. Could be collected by interviewing people or observing them through certain surveys and discussions and focus groups. So you talk to your people, your resources in the company, and try to identify what exactly is the problem or the pain area or the challenges that they are facing in the company. Secondary data is rather collected in an indirect fashion. So it could be collected from published books, research, reports, etc. So this is indirect way of containing or rather collecting the particular data. Well friends, to conclude this particular topic on decision making, types of decision in an organization varies according to the levels of the management from top to middle to frontliners. Strategic decisions made at the top management, tactics by the middle management, and operational by the front level of people in your company. A mix of primary and secondary data is taken wherever different kind of data is required. So at times primary data is collected directly and secondary data is collected indirectly. It is important to sell your solutions to the stakeholders because they are the people who are really going to be the decision makers to solve that particular problem. So selling your idea or solution to the stakeholders becomes very essential. Decision making is a kind of a solution which is ideas, and that is very important. The acronym ideas needs to be used for taking any kind of decisions. Well friends, I do hope you have enjoyed listening to this particular video on decision making under our major topic, corporate management. Keep listening, more videos coming your way. Thank you for watching us.